Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Paper Reports. At my job, my boss had a peculiar insistence on having all reports printed out and physically filed in a cabinet. Despite our office having a well-established digital filing system that made accessing and storing documents a breeze, he was adamant that physical copies were the way to go. So I dutifully complied with his request. I spent countless hours printing out reports, hole punching them, and meticulously organizing them in the filing cabinet. The cabinet quickly filled up with stacks of paper, taking up valuable office space and making it difficult to locate specific documents. Months passed, and my boss finally realized the absurdity and inefficiency of his mandate. He sheepishly admitted that he had not considered the environmental impact or the wasted time and resources involved in his paper-pushing obsession. From then on, we embraced the digital filing system wholeheartedly, and I never had to hole punch a report again. The next story is called We Have SOPs. I worked for a big company in the record retention department years ago, lots of microfilm and starting to image documents electronically. Due to restructuring, this incompetent supervisor, who couldn't even operate a photocopier, took over our one shift the company didn't eliminate. The older 25+ year employees I learned my job from retired, moved on, or got let go. Because of this, I was the only one who knew the nuances of the job. I had 2 huge binders with all the notes and sheets on how to find stuff. Things like if the computer says that the file is in drawer 2A13 under the date, look in drawer B7008 instead. When I gave my notice, I said to the supervisor I'll be glad to sit down with him and go through the book and point out a few important things. He never did. Right before I left, I said I have my binders. Are you sure you don't want to take a few minutes today? No, he said. We have standard operating procedures for guidance. I could get rid of the binders. So I did. I put them in the shredder. A few months after I left, he called me. I already knew what he wanted, because an ex-coworker already called me. He was panicking, because a few big contracts were requesting old files, and they were having trouble. Where did I put the sheet binder mentioned in that SOP? I laughed and said, "You told me to get rid of them. You have SOP. He then asked if I could return as a contractor. I said sure, $500 an hour, when I was making 12. They didn't go for it. Instead, they lost a huge amount of money and moved the files to corporate instead of a satellite office. The supervisor lost his job for it. The third story is called Every Third Car. I worked security for a major military contractor at one point. Our supervisor liked using our random search number as a tool for punishment for perceived grievances with us. Normally, our search number was something around 15 to 25, meaning we would only pull over and search every 15th car and every contractor truck. It was very cold and very miserable in the mornings, when we would suddenly have a couple hundred employees and contractors show up, between 5 and 8. On this day, our supervisor got upset, because when he came in at 4 for his day shift, he was the 15th car. He decided that he must now ruin everyone else's day, even though we did our best to search his vehicle promptly, but completely. So he couldn't say we weren't doing the searches completely. So he set the day shift search number to 3. So we complied. There was only enough room for 3 cars/trucks to be pulled over at once. And once that was done, we would usually stop searches until the others were completed, keeping traffic moving. Not today. This time we filled the search area and then stopped traffic until all 3 vehicles were cleared. Then allow 2 cars through, pull over the 3rd, allow 2, pull 3rd, allow 2, pull 3rd, stop all traffic and start searches. We ended up with a line of cars waiting to get into the plant. That went 2 miles long. It got so long, the local police got involved up the road, as people were blocking traffic in some intersections. Then came the phone call from our general that was stuck in that said traffic, a mile up the road. Suddenly we were called to cease all searches for the morning. I later heard that it had been too little too late to cancel the ridiculous searches, and our major military contractor lost a giant contract out of the deal, and that supervisor was initially going to be fired, but negotiated his way to just being busted down to a regular guard. We were union, so he started lowest on the seniority chart and got stuck working all the mandatory overtime and all the worst posts, including the one he had made miserable that morning. The last story is called Hand Over Your Tasks. A few years back, I was the IT contracts and supplier manager at a large company, been there 25 plus years, and had a lot of corporate knowledge, having worked in multiple roles over that time. Also was very well paid due to the length of tenure and experience at the company. A new jerk boss gets hired and proceeds to get rid of people he doesn't like and hires his buddies into various roles. The workplace culture took a nosedive pretty quickly. I knew my time was limited as I wasn't in his inner circle. Seeing the writing on the wall, I started looking for and applying for other roles. The boss gets me in their sights and decides to get rid of me, looking to move one of his recently hired buddies to my specialized role. That guy didn't even understand what I did. Boss tells me he wants to move me onto an upcoming project and to finish off what I am currently working on and not take on any new work. Through all my contacts across the company, I knew there was no new project or even significant budget for one, but I'll do what I'm told. I wrap up my work and tell him I'm ready for the project. He says, "Sit tight, it's not far away, and don't start anything else." So I sit at my desk, applying for other jobs and waiting. One of the jobs I applied for comes through, and I get an offer on a Friday morning. That same afternoon, the boss comes around and says, "The project isn't happening, and as you have nothing else on your plate, we will have to let you go. I know there's heaps of work backed up, and it is going to hit the fan soon when contracts aren't renewed, services cancelled, etc. I also know my employment contract, and I will have to pay a generous redundancy, because the boss told HR my role isn't required anymore." I say okay. "I guess you will have to pay me a redundancy too?" "Sure," he says, not knowing what he has agreed to. So I go through the redundancy process and at the same time accept the offer of the new job. On my last day, I happily accept the payout. His face goes pale when he hears of the amount, because it comes out of the team's budget. Walk out the door and into the new job the day after. I love my new job. Less stress, great culture, a great team. I wish I'd left earlier, but then I wouldn't have gotten the payout if I resigned. 4 weeks later, it is hitting the fan, and they advertise for a new person for my old role, as no one knows what to do, because apparently my job was easy. He didn't even ask me to document what I did to hand over to anyone else. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.